Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NMP Talk Show. We're happy that you have joined us this evening. And as usual, I'm not alone. I'm with my co-host Figile. Figile, welcome back from your long stay away from the show. How are you, Figile?
Did you have to put me on that spot, Nero? I
I
thank you
did.
for joining you again and thank you for hosting us today. I welcome everybody. Tonight we are live. We're on our Riverside FM, which is our main studio. We're live on TikTok. We are live on Telegram as well. Should you have any questions, you just type them, or if you are on Twitter, on TikTok, just type your questions and then we will be able to have our guest speaker answering your questions. We'll read them out. And if you are on Telegram, just raise your hand and grab the mic. Noah is gonna be on the lookout for people who are raising their hands. But hey, it's fantastic today. It's a Monday, beautiful Monday in South Africa. But hey, what are we on about today, Noah? Please
Oh,
tell us.
yes. So today we're talking about burnout. We're talking about the secret to avoid burnout. When I spoke to a lot of people about burnout, some would refer or would talk about burnout and saying that they only get it right at the end of the year. But shockingly, you get burnout even at the beginning of the year. It's shocking. So we want to see how we can avoid going down that route of being burnt out. So we do have a guest today that will help
Before you
us.
introduce
Yeah,
our guest, Neo,
yeah,
we always say burn out, burn out. What is burn out? I had to go and find out what it means to be burn out. Do you want
yeah,
me to share what I found out?
for later on.
Should I say it like that's fine?
Yeah,
Maybe our guest speaker will actually tell us
he
what
will
burnout
definitely
is,
do that.
what it means to be burnt out. Because I mean, it's easier for us to use the
Yeah,
term loosely while we
yeah,
don't understand what burnout is. So you may
exactly.
introduce our speaker tonight, Newa.
Yes. So this evening, we want to welcome Tyler Mountain, and she's a qualified marriage and family therapist. Can you believe it? That's where were you, Tyler? We've been looking for you all over.
All our lives of this NMP talk show.
Yes. So Tyler Mountain is from Maryland in the United States. So you said close to Washington D.C.,
Yes,
right?
I'm about an hour north of Washington, D.C.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tyler. Tyler, please
Welcome.
tell us who you are. Just a little bit
Okay.
introduction.
So my name is Taylor. I'm from the United States, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist as well as a life coach. And I have been doing this for a couple of years now. My journey of being a therapist is kind of a long one. So I actually started it back in 2008. And then I kind of took a break. I went back to school and I got my MBA just because of an interest in business and wanting to own a couple of businesses of my own. And then I went back to the therapy side. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now and just getting into my niche and everything and enjoying kind of like really what it means to be a therapist and a coach and making sure that I'm being there for my clients.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow,
That's a beautiful
fantastic.
introduction there. And just for the note to everyone, we do have a psychologist also in the house, Sis Khemi. So if she okay, let me see if I can unmute her to welcome her. Sis Khemi, welcome to our show. Back again. We love you for that.
You know what? We appreciate you.
Yes. All right. While she finds her unmute button, we can continue. So, Tyler, please tell us about burnout.
Yeah,
Oh, there she is. Sis
There she
Jaime,
goes.
welcome.
Yeah, so
yeah, thank you. I
burnout.
just wanted to correct Neo before the guest that I'm not a psychologist,
No,
I'm a
yes,
social worker,
social
Social
worker.
worker,
stroke
yes.
therapist as well.
No, no. you've gone to NMP talk show institution, so you qualify. Graduated, no?
I don't want to be sued.
Thanks for correcting me there.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. So,
misrepresentation. Thank you, Avshemi, for that. But
yeah.
welcome to our show. We always appreciate having you in our show.
Yes, thank you. So going back
Thank
to
you.
Tyler,
Thank you, Kile.
our special guest. So how do I pronounce it? Tyler or
Taylor.
Taylor? Okay,
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay.
Yes. Also, Tay is good,
Yeah.
but my parents wanted to be fancy, which I appreciate, and it has an e at the end of Taylor, so
I too
Taylor.
I like. First time I see this. How you spell it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm. The first time for everything.
I'm a fan of it. And then once you start saying it, other people
Yeah.
like you find Taylors and you start calling them Taylor, and it just makes me feel good inside.
Now you
Yeah.
special. So let us know then. What is
That's
burnout?
great.
Yeah, but so burnout is kind of what happens when you are really stressed out with work, because you have been giving so much time, so much energy, but you may not necessarily be getting out of it what you want or need or expect. And sometimes because of that, and all of the stress buildup and fatigue, and you may be getting sick, and you just end up not being able to do the work that you need to do or that you want to do. And now you're kind of out of commission for a little bit. Sometimes you might even be out of your job. So burnout is really that point where you can no longer really work because you are mentally drained, you are physically drained. Trying to communicate with others effectively isn't working, and just work isn't doing what you want it to do in terms of like a fulfilling manner or something that you can just manage.
Mm.
Yeah. So we do see a lot of people going through that. Sometimes you think maybe you're just tired. You don't have interest anymore in your work, and you feel like it's a burden to you. But not knowing in the back of the mind, it could be burnout. It's a job that you like, but over time, because you keep repeating the job, the same thing over and over, and you lose your interest in it, and it might
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong. It might also lead you to burnout, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, um, because we all have to work, even though we legit don't want to. So you're like, all right, here's this job that I'm going to get. I like it. Or maybe it's I'm doing this temporarily because I have to make money, and then maybe I'll do something else.
Mm.
But we all have to work, and so what I think is important is like at least having some interest or sometimes passion in it if you can do that. And so then, because of how the culture is, maybe because of how management is, your schedule, the commute, the other obligations that you have at home, all of that can kind of add to potentially being burnt out. So you might feel tired, and you might even like the work that you do, but it's just maybe not doing it for you. There's a lot of different factors that kind of go into that of leading to this burnout and potentially just not doing that work anymore.
Yeah.
With that being said, Tyler, what will you say are the common causes of being burnt out?
My biggest reason for that, I think, is with boundaries, or the lack of boundaries. So maybe it is that you don't have the best boundaries when it comes to the people that you are working with, like with colleagues, or how you're interacting with them, and because working with other people can be difficult. It could be the lack of boundaries with your schedule. So maybe it's just that you are either staying at work really late and constantly working. Maybe you are leaving the office, but you come home and you're still working.
Mm.
So, not having those healthy cutoff times, this isn't to say that you're supposed to just stop at 5 o'clock when you know you actually like have work to do and it's necessary. But if it is something that is going to be consistent, then what is a healthy balance for that? So, some people may not be able to find that balance or stick to that boundary of I'll work late on these days, but maybe not on these days, and they just continually just keep working because they think that they have to, or they're in an environment where they are supposed to do that. Um, Sometimes it may be just with the duties that are being given to them. Maybe they're taking on too much and they don't necessarily need to. So it could be that their supervisor is giving them work that they're actually not even getting paid to do or was even in their job description, or they're not passing on and delegating certain tasks to the people that are supposed to do it for various reasons. So I really think a lot of it has to do with boundaries because that can show up in different aspects of work as well as like at home and what that can look like too.
Oh,
When
fantastic.
you're explaining it, something just comes to my mind. Can being a perfectionist lead to burnout?
Being burnout.
Yes. Because there's high expectations, whether it's these expectations that you're putting on yourself or maybe that someone else is putting on you when you are trying to reach that goal you're not really getting there for whatever reason, again unrealistic expectations maybe, then you're going to feel like a failure often, and that does a lot for your psyche.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You're talking about psyche there. That leads me to my next question to you. How does it affect your mental and physical wellness, your physical health?
Yeah.
When
So mentally, it could be that you are not thinking that you're good enough, or that you are doing what you're supposed to in the work realm and what your like supervisors are asking you to do. Um, you may think that you're in the wrong profession. That's something that I've been noticing with some clients. Honestly, with like educators, that's where I see a lot of burnout, which makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of um, requirements that are asked of them, and then they have a whole bunch of students, and who knows exactly the behavior or emotional intelligence, of these students. So then you have to deal with that, and then you're staying long days, and you're taking your work home, and all of that. So you can start feeling the effects of like just not being able to do what you need to do. You're not being able to help the people that you want to help, and you just start to get really down on yourself and believing that like you can't do some of these things, or that you have to do this for so many years, and then you start to dread it. So then you start looking at the work as something that's a burden rather than something exciting or fun, or where you can learn something. So it can really have a big mental health toll. And usually your mental health and your physical health kind of run into each other and impact each other. So then now your body's tired and you're fatigued and you're getting sick more often, and you have headaches and you have body aches, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And so it's a mix of these two that are happening all at once. So it can really impact your physical health, and you may not know why, especially if you're getting sick more often. You're like, I wasn't like this before. I was healthy. And then now you're not. Maybe you're also not getting out and working out and socializing and being around other people, and you're isolated. So it's just like a snowball effect.
Sure.
Oh.
So for the benefit of those that have just joined us, we're talking about burnout, the secret to avoiding burning out. And we have our special guest from Maryland. She's explaining how we can avoid it, how we can identify a burnout, and how to deal with it. Sometimes maybe we cannot totally avoid it, but we can deal with it efficiently. And if you're joining us also on Riverside FM, I see we have an audience there. You're more than welcome to use the chat option there to type your questions or your comments there, and then we'll be able to read it out to our special guest Tyler there. And you also on Telegram, you can raise your hand if you have any comments or any questions to our guest. Now let's get back to you, Taylor. I love this name.
I love the sound at the end, like
Get to
Taylor.
roll
Yes.
your tongue.
I will tell my parents and they'll be so happy.
We
Yes,
appreciate that
Southern
they
they
named
they
you
special,
Taylor.
Yes.
So Taylor, are there specific factors that make certain people more susceptible to burnout?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that because sometimes it could just be life circumstances that can just change and it can be more challenging for you to go to work and put your best foot forward and give the energy that you need. So I think it could really just happen to anyone, whether you're in a job that you are doing because you have to make money and maybe you don't really like it, but like that's what you have to do, or ones where you were like, man, I enjoy this. I went to school for this. And then you start still getting very involved in it, or you're in a bad culture and you can still have the same thing happen. So it's possible for really anyone, which is the unfortunate part. But at the same time, there's other people that are possibly experiencing the same thing, so you're not necessarily alone. It's not just based on certain people that are or a certain quality that you have to look for, but it can really be with anyone.
Mm,
Wow. Oh, I'm listening to what you are saying, and I'm thinking, if everybody is prone to become burnt out, is there a difference between burnout and stress? What will be your take on that?
Yeah, so I also think anybody can have stress, but it's about how you manage
Yes.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And so with stress, it can be manageable on different levels. It could be manageable at work. It could really just be like one aspect of work that you're dealing with. It could also be one aspect at home that you're dealing with. It could be that you have kids and you're trying to manage your time. That can be stressful, but you might really enjoy work. Work is good.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are too many stressors, though, that's where you can potentially burn out because you haven't been able to maybe put out a fire or be able to manage everything. And there, it's like the resources that you have maybe aren't helping you as much as they were before. So now it's just stress upon stressor. Like they just keep stacking, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to this point where you're like, I just can't really do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And with that as well, I just want to find out from you, Taylor, if that goes on, um, does it affect your mental wellness or your mental health? If
Yes.
so, what is it that I need to look at so that I can avoid that?
Yeah. So, like, just as you were saying that, it reminded me of something that I read recently, trying to remember where, but it was about how in, I think it might be Germany and somewhere, a country in Europe, where if you are burned out, you can go to a doctor and the doctor will say, like, you need time off from work. And you
Mm,
get a certain amount of time off to relax, to process, to
yeah.
breathe, to heal, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what happens here in the US. I'm not sure what happens in South Africa, but it's not anything that's really common.
I cannot speak to some South Africans, but I mean, there's a lot that we do when we feel burnt out or more stressed that we can't cope with our work. And you just go to the doctor and tell the doctor that, you know what, I can't take this anymore. I just need to rest. So you're the one telling the doctor that you need to rest. It's not that the doctor diagnoses you that you need a rest. So it works differently from different people. I mean, when I was
Yeah.
still in the corporate world, I used to go to the doctor and say, hey, please, I am tired, I can't cope with my work, and then
Yeah,
I need to rest.
yeah. Jim, life is very difficult. It will push you to that route where now you getting burnt out and you just can't deal with anything that comes your
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And just from your line of work, Taylor, when you have families coming to you for help, as a family and marriage, what did you say? Marriage and
Married
family
family
therapist.
therapist.
A beautiful name there. If
No.
they come to you, are you able to diagnose or maybe see that the cause of their problems, maybe for some, families, is burnout, and how can they deal with it?
Yeah, so officially, with how we diagnose in the states, there isn't anything that says like burnout is the diagnosis, but rather it's more of like the impact that it's had on the person. So it might have caused anxiety or depression or like
Mm.
being able to manage everything. It's hard to like adjust to that. So we're looking at it more from that standpoint, but try to focus on, at least for me, I try to focus on like you have all of these different things that you are trying to do. You're trying to manage them. How do we get you to have a healthy work life balance so that you're still enjoying life, you're going to work and doing what you need to do, and just able to kind of manage everything, because at least here that's how we look at it.
Yeah, I think what I'm about to read from the comments, the chat comments from Joy, is that you get from being burnout, and I think you go back to being depressed. you know but let me read the chat and I'll explain later. So you see, I don't know, Joyce, apologies, I don't know it's a he or she. I was able to take time off, and after speaking with my psychiatrist about my burnout, it was a nice break. My 6 weeks of work was waiting for me when I returned, unfortunately. And that's the part that I'm talking about. You take time off, to relax, to unwind, but at the back of your mind, your work is still waiting for you. And the longer you stay at home to relax, the more anxious you
Mhm.
become, where now you become stressed that, yo, when I come back
There's
home,
a lot of work to
go
do.
back to the office, my work is still like that. It's still waiting
Mhm.
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
How can we deal with companies, encourage companies to um, to work this, to cooperate with people who are burnt out, people who are depressed, that when they do take time off, especially from a medical practitioner who would advise that they do that, they are able to scatter their work, amongst the other co-workers, so that when they come back, they come in a clean slate, you know
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a tough question, or at least one with a tough solution, because
yeah,
um, we have these really large corporations that may not necessarily care, or they
mm,
sort of care, but it's just something where it's not necessarily helping the employees in the best way. And so there's part of it that I'm thinking about, of like these employees speaking up more especially if there are those times where management is asking about how they can kind of make things better, to speak to that of what some of the issues are. However, management may not listen to that, you know?
Mm.
And so um, I think that if there are more places that end up having a high turnover rate, maybe they'll start looking at those reasons why. But at the same time, everyone needs work. And if it's giving
Yeah,
you the money that you need, then you end up
yeah.
staying and you kind of put up with it. So um, it's, I
It's all
think, comes
about the
down to,
money, you know. It's all
what do
about
you
the
say?
money. I'm saying it's all
Yeah.
about the money. I can't be babysitting people if I want, a good turnover at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
Yeah.
talking about that, I'm just thinking most corporate by law, they need to take care of their employees.
Praise, yeah.
So maybe because our topic today is about preventing being burnt out or figuring out if somebody is about to be burnt out. Are there any warning signs that if I am a manager, I should look for that maybe someone may be at risk of being burnt out and prevent it before it even starts happening?
Mm,
Yeah, I think that if you know that there is an employee that has a great work ethic, they maybe are more cheerful people, or they're there to help out more. And then there's that shift where they're looking more tired or fatigued. They maybe are taking more or asking for more time off. They're not necessarily joining in like they were before. When you actually like know that that's the kind of person they are, then it might be asking those questions of what is really going on, and checking in on them, because it may be a work thing, it may be a home thing, and just trying to figure out how to manage that can be pretty difficult. So I would say there'd be kind of like a difference in work ethic or energy that they're putting in, especially if you know that they're like trying to do their best and they really enjoyed doing something, or they're working on a project, and now that mood has kind of shifted. It's a little bit harder for, I think, some of the jobs where maybe someone isn't a vocal person, or there's someone who is like, yes, I want to strive to achieve these um,
monumental
like
goals.
all these projects, or to get this promotion or whatever. Because there are some people that are just kind of fine where they are. They're kind of balancing everything how they do that. So it's more of the ones where maybe you see them a lot more, and then now that's shifted, and they're not
Yeah,
themselves. Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let me rope in our social worker here. Sis Khami, anything that you would like to add on this topic, and especially when you consulting with your patients, or I come to you and I'm laying it bare on you. Any anything that you encourage me to do or not?
Yeah, no, thanks very much. It's very interesting what your guest is saying, and I think it's very empowering. I would just like to add that, there are a couple of things which she has already mentioned. For example, if you try to be or you are a perfectionist, you are going to definitely be burned out, because perfectionists in their own way. They want most of the time to do things their
Themselves.
way, but they also want to do everything by themselves. So you find that is very difficult. They knock off very late because a person has been in the office right from 7 o'clock. They want to work the whole day. And in the evening as well, they get home very late. They don't have time for their kids. they don't have time to connect and to spend time with family because they're tired and they're preparing already for the next day. So being a perfectionist has got its own disadvantages because it leads people there being burnt out. I think the other thing that she also mentioned, which is quite crucial, is the fact that if you're not passionate about the work that you do, you are likely to be burned out. It may have been that when you started that job, it was interesting, it was fun, it was exciting, you feeling very ambitious, but over time, it starts being boring, and that's when people need to start looking at either changing the company, changing your place of work, or even reinventing your career, because sometimes it's very important to reinvent your career if what you have been doing for 10 years or 15 years is
Mm,
starting to be boring, because you no longer have the spark, you no longer have the passion, you just go to work for the sake of earning a salary. So that is also another issue that could be causing burnout. So it's very important that when people reach that stage of feeling really tired, because burnout, it's a feeling of extreme tiredness about what you're doing on a daily basis, family, work, even friends, even other things. It can be a combination of many things happening at the same time. So they just create that lack of energy, that fatigue, that it makes your body not to function. At the same time, it affects your mental health because when your body is not okay, when you're so fatigued, you can't even be creative, you can't even think things through. Your thought process start really also being very fatigued on its own. So it's very important that when people, I think, when they get burnout, pause, pause a little bit, take a break, take a leave, go and recharge. If some people go for massage, some just go for therapy, depending on what are the issues that are causing you burnout. If it's family problems, go for therapy, but also take care of your body. Exercise is very important. Having enough sleep is very important because your body needs a rest. You can't work 24/7 because you want to be a super employer, a super employee, a super mom, a super wife or husband. Those things don't work. They're just going to burn out your body. So you need to really be a performer, but do everything in moderation. Because if you were to collapse and die,
mm,
the company will replace you with somebody else next
Yep.
week. So sometimes it's not really worth it just to you push yourself just because you want to be the super thing. So you need to just take a pause, go for those kind of interventions, go for a massage, go for exercise, have an exercise habit daily. It's very important, very important. I wish I could say it every day. And then if you really have family problems on the side, go for therapy. A combination of those, like we always say, soul, mind, and body, they all have to work together. If one is affected, it's going to affect the others.
yeah. And Anita
You know,
there is in agreement with you, Sis Remy. She says
mhm.
that it's important to take time to care for you, to take care of you, and sometimes you just need a mental break. You just need a mental break. Then she repeats it. We really need a
You
mental
need
break.
a mental
Anita, we
break.
agree with you. So
We're
any
talking
people?
about mental break and how burnout can affect you mentally. Now, it gets me thinking, will that lead, or can that lead to physical health problems? If so, how to, like, what sort of physical health problems should I be looking at that can be caused by being burnt out?
So when thinking about like what can happen, it's all because of multiple things going on at the same time. So like while if you were someone who worked out and then maybe now you're not working out as much, you're the parts of you likely kind of burning out are then now that you are not eating as well, you're not sleeping as well, or you're sleeping like too much. So then now you have your health that's kind of declining compared to what it was before. You're eating these unhealthier things, you're not moving, all of that. So then you can have heart problems, you can have diabetes, you can have those different types of issues. So it's things that keep stacking on top of each other, that can cause these medical issues and concerns. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing if it's more of like, okay, like you injured yourself and you can't run outside, but you're still eating well, you're still sleeping well. Like that's a little bit different, but it's when like you stop doing all these healthier things that you're supposed to be doing that the medical issues are more likely to happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joy is repeating there. I always say, if you don't take breaks, your body will eventually force you to. I agree with
Yep.
it. Whether it's serious medical issue or crashing from lack of sleep, your body will tell you, and it does. And unfortunately, when the body tells you, it's rather too late, isn't it?
it's forcing you.
Yeah, because now it's forcing
It's not
you.
asking
It
you to take
shouldn't
a
get to
break,
that
it's
point
forcing
where,
you to.
yeah, it
Yep.
shouldn't get to that point where it tells you you need to rest, you need to stop.
Yeah,
um,
Yep.
yeah.
we need to drive our bodies. And yeah, welcome to those that have just joined us now. We're talking about burnout, how we can identify it, how we can deal with it. And the next question that I also want to ask, if I'm the one who's burnout, how can I communicate to my coworkers or my employer that I'm burnout? And is there any strategy that I can use to address burnout within the workplace?
So this is, I think, maybe more of a personal preference, but it also depends on the type of environment that you're working in. But
Mm.
if you can start mentioning some of these things beforehand, so that maybe these resources can kind of help, then that helps to prevent you from even getting too far and burning out. So then you're, say, using your paid time off. Maybe it's using your sick leave, but um, not waiting until it's at its worst place, because then um, I think it's a little bit harder on the work side of things, where you're like, what? I thought that they were fine, and then now they're going to be out for however many days, and we have this big thing going on, and then now everyone's like stressed or whatever. Not to say that it's like your responsibility to 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 manage every work situation for everybody else, but rather, if there's people that you trust, if you can talk to your supervisor along the way, then um, they may be able to help you with resources to minimize how fatigued and stressed out that you are, before you get to a point where you're really like, I just can't do it anymore. So that communication, I think, would just need to start a little bit sooner, especially with people that you trust. And then if you are talking to your supervisor, they may not necessarily understand or want to listen, then maybe time to consider like switching to either a different team or going somewhere else, because
Mm.
you're not going to strive there and be healthy if you have a manager that kind of doesn't care about your well-being.
Yeah, that is true.
With that being said, that I will have to be forced to leave my employer. Say I am an employer and I've got people working for me or under me. Is there anything I can do to help them or prevent being burnt out from my side? Because I want to take care of my employees.
Yeah, I think a big one is modeling it, because if you are someone who is not taking any breaks, you're working late into the night, taking work home, you are skipping family events or any other kind of social events with friends, or relaxing and all of that, then you're modeling that, like, you don't need to take care of yourself. So
Mhm.
I think a big one for employers is to show like it is okay to take breaks. We also do have to work and get the work done. I mean, we are getting paid for that, but there's still life to live. There's still time that needs to be spent with family. So, modeling that kind of behavior and then encouraging your employees to do the same. So that if you see them taking a lot of work home and working late into the night and getting stressed out about certain things that they may not necessarily need to be stressed out about, like encouraging them to take those breaks, to stop at a certain time of work and going home and all of that. So modeling, I think, is a big one for employers to do.
Yeah. I'm interested if,
Saying that.
yeah.
Sorry, no, you can go.
Thank you. I'm just interested to know if we do have in our audience somebody who's in the managerial, level in the corporate where they can share experiences with about their coworkers, how they helping them out when they can recognize that they are burnt out. We're not even talking just about burnout. Burnout comes after accumulation of a lot of things. You start
Mhm,
getting
mhm,
stressed,
mhm, mhm.
and when you're too stressed for a longer period of time, then also can also bring to you the journey of being burnt out. So it'll be interesting if you are in that level of authority in the business world. Please share with us. And I see we have Marcus. Marcus, welcome to our show. I know you somewhere there in that level. Would be happy to to hear your
To
experience.
have
I'm not
him
putting you
joining
on
us,
the
yes.
corner. Al
Yes.
says we need more people doing breath work and some type of meditation. Communication is key. My boss didn't even recognize I was burnt out until I said I've been pushing through. Yeah. And
Hmm.
Anita says, and promoting a work life balance. We really
You,
appreciate all your comments, everyone. Thank you so much. Keep them coming.
we've got
We
Joy as a
Yeah.
supervisor, Newo.
Yeah.
Um, Joy says, as a supervisor, I'm always supportive of my staff taking breaks and not being upset if they say no to working overtime. So that they can care for themselves. I have an open door policy that even if they just need to vent, I'm supportive of their mental health needs.
I
Wow.
would love
Well
to work
done,
for you,
Joy.
Joy.
I would
Well
love
done. Well
to.
done.
You know, with
Marcus.
what Joy is saying, I
Yeah.
saw a company in Asia, I think it's Asia, if I'm not mistaken. They have nap times, so their chairs allows them to sleep while they are at work.
Oh my word,
And
I see that.
we sitting here saying, how can you sleep at work? But with our show today, with our topic with Taylor today, I understand why that company has nap time, and
Yeah.
they are not actually angry with employees taking naps. It
Yeah.
is necessary for their well-being. It is necessary for them to
The
be
production is
productive.
good.
So now
Yeah.
I understand why. I understand why.
Marcus,
One thing I wanted to ask,
before
either
before you
yeah, yeah,
before you ask, please remember to ask that question. I have Marcus on the line on Telegram. Marcus, please
okay,
welcome me
Hi, Neo. Can you hear me?
loud and
yes,
clear.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I was battling with the technology. I was trying to type and I couldn't use this thing.
Yeah.
I think very interesting topic, guys. I must say I'm honestly excited. Well, yes, it's true. I'm in the HR space, middle management level. Neo is correct to say that. I
mhm,
agree with most of the points that almost everyone have said. And the last point that was just made now is very fascinating. I also can't remember where I read about it. One company that offers 1 hour sleep for employees. I think, in my view, it is the way to go, especially in sectors where job is demanding. People need to rest, and when you have rested enough, you come back, you become more productive.
Mm.
But but really, other observations is there's this thing called gamification in workplace where people can just go and just play darts or they can play whatever that they can play to reset their mind and come back. Those things can be deployed in workplaces. And I know now you're saying, what is it that's happening currently in workplaces from HR perspective?
mm,
What is it that we have in place that we assisting employees with? When I was with two other large corporates, they used one or two companies where employees can do self referrals and they can speak to clinical psychologists, they can speak to counselors. So we're using the same where I am at the moment. Employees can do self referrals. Managers can make an observation of an employee who's sort of showing signs of burnout. But obviously, it will be provided if those managers are trained and they are aware
mm.
on how to pick up those signs. And then they will do a manager referral. They'll partner with HR and do manager referral. And also, if we're creating awareness in a workplace, it reduces the stigma. People are scared to mention that I'm sensing signs of burnout.
Mm,
And I know we're not talking about bipolar. I've got bipolar. I've got this. So people are scared to mention certain things, thinking
mm,
that they might be discriminated against.
mm,
But if we talk about it a lot and we create an awareness about these things, then people get to relax and easy up into the topics. So yeah, no, that's my contribution. But that's what we do in on the HR side for employees. There's a lot that we're doing for employees um, to assist in burnout.
thank you so much
But the
for
other
that.
speaker
Mm,
was saying it's the cumulative steps until you are completely burned out, and we need to pick up these things very quickly,
mhm.
Very early.
very, very, very quickly at the early age. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks now.
Thank you, Marcus, for that
Yeah.
contribution. Really, really is very helpful. Anything to add on, Tyler?
Um, just that with, I was just thinking of how, like, we've talked about the mental health part, we talked about like the physical illness and everything, but another one is also job loss. And I can even like speak to that of being in a previous job where I enjoyed my job, but it was also during the pandemic. Things were hectic and crazy, and just a lot was going on. And it got to a point where I just made a wrong decision because my brain was tired. And it was like, oh, well, Taylor, we need you to leave. And I was like, you know what? I get why I need to not be here because I messed up. And I realized that like it was just my brain wasn't there. I was exhausted. There was a lot going on, and I really did need to take time to rest, to breathe, to be around family and friends because I wasn't necessarily in that environment. And it's like while it's not necessarily um, the same type of burnout that you might be thinking of, say like getting sick or something, and then now you're out of work. Like, no, I was still working, and I thought I was good, and then I wasn't. So like that can happen, and we have to really listen to our bodies. We have to listen to our interests and what we are capable of doing, and not just adding extra things on to try and make us, I guess, like the job more or feel better at the job. Because then otherwise you end up making very stupid mistakes like I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you're touching on something very important there. We need to have self care. You know, you need to take care of yourself, and some of the things we really can avoid, but pressure as well has a contributing factor. The area that you live, the friends that you keep, and the television programs that you watch,
You watch.
those things can accumulate and just lead you to being burnout, because now you have to work as much as more than that you're working, so that you can accumulate all of those things, to be on the same level as what you're watching on TV. And I found that TV can really be misleading. You know, it's a script. You know, a lot of programs that we're watching, it's only a script,
It's
and
Yeah.
scripted.
you have people sitting around the round table coming up with ideas. This is how it should be. This is how we can do it. You know,
Mhm,
they have props and all of that, and then for us, we see a lifestyle that we need to maintain,
mhm,
and
mhm,
now doing that can lead you to burnout. You know, you start getting stressed that now, you know, you're not matching up with the Jones, and
Yeah.
then you progress, and then you're like, oh, I need to work hard, and then you're missing out on a lot of things, you know, at home, the quality time with family, because you have to catch up. We do have Bibi says, do you feel an increase in pay can help prevent burnout? That's an interesting question, though.
Well,
I think
very
it depends on
interesting. Let's
the
hear
job.
from Taylor.
I think it depends on the job because so I have a client who um, works in a corporate company, is pretty high up there, but has been there so long that they don't necessarily want to be at that company anymore. So they're getting a lot of money, but they're like, even if I get more, it's not going to be good for me. So
Mhm,
like, no. But then you have maybe some people who can be on, say, the lower end, and maybe it's like skills aren't being recognized, or they're not getting like paid for their skill, um,
mhm,
or they're really in a position of like, I have to take this job, don't necessarily want to, but I have to take this job. And if they are getting paid more, that could actually be helpful because they're working as a necessity in a way. And so then if they're getting this pay that helps supplement things, and that could be better. I'm even thinking of how, at least here in the States, we're having like a living wage issue. So there's minimum wage, and all of the states have like a different amount of it. I think we're all trying to work towards a certain wage. However, if you really look at how much it is to make that living wage, and then how you can live off of that, it doesn't really add up. So if you are in those types of situations, and then yes, you get paid a little bit more, or you have a pay increase, I think that is a situation where that can make a difference for somebody.
But I think it depends. You know,
Yeah,
when you earning a small amount, yes, you always want to have more because you have needs. You know, you have family to take care, you have yourself to take care of. You using your commuting to work. You need to cater for all of those, and you also need some entertainment. You know, to cover, when you're having money that it's too little, can be stressful. But also, when you have a lot of money, it doesn't mean that your work will be less. Because now, what your employer will say, okay, for me to give
who's
you a lot of
paying you
money,
for this?
I need to give you more responsibilities.
Yes.
And more responsibilities would mean more stress for you. It
Mhm,
means more work for you, and and that would, it can even cause you, to be burnout, because you have to burn the candle. You are there 6 o'clock in the morning, you're out 9 o'clock in the evening, and you have to commute back home. And you get home, you have children, and I'm particularly thinking about women, mothers that are working in corporate.
mhm.
I think for them it's even extra hard, because when they come back home, there is an
It's still
expectation
working.
that you're a mother, your children
Mhm,
need your attention. You have a husband, maybe he
mhm,
also needs that attention. He's like a big
mhm.
baby who wants you there, you know. And
There's a
that
lot
could also
going
be.
on. You know, on what you have touched, I wanted to add on this, um, with what I've seen in my line of work. The more you earn, the
Mm,
more your needs are. So a salary increase might not actually prevent you from being burnt out,
Yeah.
because you say you are burnt out because you are earning less, and whatever you are earning is not actually meeting your basic needs. And that time your manager matches up to your needs, you still need more because your needs are now added from what you had previously. So
Yeah.
I guess in my opinion, no. It might not. So we've got Anita here saying sometimes a company doesn't have enough employees
Yeah.
to do the work. So then the employees, they do have are required to do double the work and get the same pay. And that
Yeah.
is true. That can lead to you being burnt out
Oh
because
yeah.
you're
Well,
wearing so many hats
yeah.
with a very little reward of what you are doing. So
Oh yeah.
that I do believe that it will cause you to be burnt out.
L,
I
I'm
wanted to
owning up
ask
to that.
earlier. Mhm.
Sorry, L. L says he said big baby. Hashtag big baby. I'm owning up to that. Yes, we are. We can be if you want. I'm talking about
We you
myself.
know that you are talking about yourself here, so it's okay. You know, with that music that our
Yeah,
producer is playing, I just
yeah.
wanted to ask from you, Taylor, and Sischemi, if she's still there, that if I've missed all the symptoms, I've missed on the strategies on how to cope with burnout. I'm now burnt out. How long will it take for me to recover from being burnt out?
I think it depends on actually accepting that you're tired and
Mm,
accepting that you can really be in danger for your mental health, your physical health, your social health, relationship health, all of that. Um, that is in trouble unless you take the time to take a break. And some people just
Mhm.
have a hard time accepting that, or they still believe that they have to continue working as hard as they're going. So it comes with acknowledgement and then acceptance of it. And I get too that not everybody has this extra space or time or money to say like not work or to take breaks off. So then maybe it's still taking just smaller steps back. um, but it's really acknowledging like how important your body is, how important your brain is, and taking care of yourself is.
Mhm.
And that will mean you do have to stop certain things. So it depends on like that part, because then it's the amount of energy you have to put in to working towards feeling healthier.
Okay.
So I think if you're able to put in more work, then it'll happen quicker. But
mm.
but if you're in denial about it, then that's
Yeah, it will take longer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Bibi, for your comment as well. That this has been an amazing show. I agree with you, and very helpful and insightful. Need more of this conversations. Thank you. We really enjoyed it. We appreciate that. And l- 3 weeks back, we had a segment on book review, and it was our first book review of the show, and which we're hoping that we're gonna start with it in the months to come. So we were running a competition where we have selected a winner, but we need somebody to announce the winner for that show. Um, and the winner is the author of the book, Crooked Halo, who will announce who won the competition. Sino, please, you can unmute yourself and yes, grace us there.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back,
Hi.
How is
Sino.
everyone? Hi. This was such an interesting show. I enjoyed listening
Yeah.
to all the tips about burnout.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
So,
So you can now announce the winner. Do you want a drum
oh,
roll
okay.
first?
Yes, please, drum roll.
Drum roll. Let's hit the drum roll. And the winner is
And the winner is Londi Masombuka.
wow,
Woo!
yes.
I think you're happy reading.
All right, Lonely, if you connected, I don't know where, maybe Riverside or anywhere else, please contact our Sinovuyo Muri. Then you can claim your prize. But thank you so much, Sino, for coming back to the show,
Thank
announcing
you.
that. We're looking forward to another book review. You, Figile, and Taboho, who's also
Absolutely.
connected there. I'm just gonna leave it there, not introduce her.
You know what? Please don't. Don't ruin the
All
surprise, please.
right. So to close up our show, Tyler, any closing remarks from your side, and we can also ask Siskemi for any closing remarks too.
Yeah. First of all, I do want to say thank you for having me on here. It's been a pleasure to chat with you two and with the audience. I think just a big part of making sure that you don't necessarily reach the points of burnout are listening to yourself and also recognizing that you don't have to do all of these extra things, that you can still do the work that you have, and maybe you enjoy it, maybe you don't necessarily enjoy it all the time, but you still have time to go be with family, do stuff for yourself, go travel, do something with arts. Like it's healthy to have different aspects of your life rather than just going to work or just going home. So making sure that you're including all of those different parts in there. And then also, so I work with clients about finding this work life balance, and I think something that's important to look at too is like why we work and what our value is that we put on working. And sometimes it might just be the way that we think about what we're supposed to be doing or what other people require of us. Maybe it's that perfectionist thinking that sometimes gets us into these places of like, but I have to do this, I have to do this type of work and be there all the time and give all of this energy. But in reality, you don't necessarily need to, because sometimes management isn't even like recognizing it or caring, and they can fill your spot easily. So I work with clients to kind of process all of that and find out like what their passion is and how that can look for work, because all of those parts I think are important for us to be doing this thing that we don't want to do but have to do. So just looking at that, yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for that,
you.
Tyler. Siskemi.
Yes, my final comment will be, just like with any other thing in life, whether it's a sickness, it's a disease, or any other issue, if you leave it for too long, it grows, and by the time you deal with it, it's so big that it's going to take longer to undo that. So if you are being diagnosed with a disease, you must attend to it immediately. If you realize signs of burnout early as they are, you attend to them. Don't wait until it is too difficult for you to get out of that, because then it's going to require more from you. You may even have to take more time from work. So, with everything, as soon as you see the early signs, attend to that. Rather prevent the more difficult and stronger situation than, allowing it to go on and on. It's going to be difficult to undo that. Thank you so much, Neo.
Thank you, Siskemi, for that. Thank you, Tyler, for joining our show. Hopefully,
Yeah, thank you
it
for
won't be the last time.
The last time.
We'll be
Mhm.
happy. We'll be happy to have you over in the nearer future. And thanks for everyone that joined on Riverside and your comments. They were really helpful. They really made this show very enjoyable, and we were enlightened by all your comments. And also on Telegram too, We appreciate you joining and also commenting. And the winner as well, we're happy for you. Hopefully, you enjoyed the book titled Crooked Halo by Sinovuyo Muri. Thank you. And my name is Neo Figile. I think today we're not going to
I
wrap up.
know. I mean, yes, we
We
are
had the
signing out
professionals to
now.
do that.
I understand. Don't worry. But hey, we know prevention is better than cure. We
Yes.
sign out.
Thank you. My name is Nao Murapedi, and my co-host is Figile Nkosi, and this is how we signing out.
Last